Hey, Ken Dunek, Mark Eckel. It's the Bird Brains with Ken and Mark. This week's edition, I think, is going to be known as Grumpy Old Men because, Mark, we were up late. we didn't see what we wanted to see, but I got a little I told you so because
No, you said it was going to be
you
tough.
said I told you it was going to be a tough game. Now, I didn't think they were going to win like that, the Giants. I thought it would be a tight game because most division games in prime time on the road are a little more competitive than they seem. But Mark, last week I had mentioned that there were cracks in the foundation.
Yes.
This week there's a hole in the roof. And there's serious problems with this Eagles football team. Yesterday somebody mentioned that this was the evil hat trick. The Flyers lost their opener. The Phillies got beat in heartbreaking fashion. Of course, the Eagles didn't show up with the Giants. But anyway, what do you think? I need a double shot of espresso. Unfortunately, I have to add some arsenic to it because I'm in that kind of a mood. But your general thoughts before we get to a really special guest.
I have two. One is I'm baffled. I don't know what's going on. Listen, you were right. I got to get you. I told you that we were texting last night. The Giants, but and the announcers last night, they're building. Oh, the Giants have arrived. I'll tell you right now. I'm going to give everybody some little advice. Bet the Denver Broncos next week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The Giants are going to go to Denver and get their butts kicked. The Giants are good. They're not good.
They're not good. Terrible. And I tell you what, that young quarterback Jackson Dart is a talent, but he's going to get killed.
Yes, he is.
He's going to be an RG3 if he's not careful. Anyway,
and he's good, but he's not Joe Montana. They're making him out to be the next Joe Montana.
Well, he's athletic, and he's actually added a spark to that team who they really needed. But let me jump in and recognize our sponsors here, Mark, before we get to our special guest. Number one. The Bird Brains with Ken and Mark is recorded at the Sweet Recording Studios in Mount Laurel. Our good friend Joe Gangemi takes care of us here. If you ever are interested in doing a podcast, please contact Joe at sweetrecording.com. Our good friend Chris Wilhelm of Citywide Mortgage can handle all of your financial needs for homes. Contact Chris at 609-234-4304. Tony DiGirolamo of DiGirolamo Financial needs, insurance needs. He's a one-stop shop. He's got it all for you. Tony can be reached at 609-541-7515. Tony D at 609-541-7515. And of course, our newest sponsor, Adjust Your Sleep Mattress Boutique, is located in Marlton, New Jersey. And did you know that sleep is essential to your health and well-being? If you think your sleep game is championship level, think again. At Adjust Your Sleep, we specialize in men's health with precision, pain-free sleep systems built to boost your stamina, performance, and recovery. Whether you're grinding through the week or gearing up for game day, we've got custom mattresses for every budget. Change your mattress, change your life. Call Kelly at 856-357-3640 and take your sleep to Super Bowl status. And with that, we're going to bring in our guest. And I can tell you that this fella has been one of my closest friends for 40-some years now. He was an All-American quarterback at Penn State. He was the runner-up to the Heisman Trophy. And I did a little research on Chuck Fusina. As a starting quarterback in the pros in college, his record is 79-16-1. And I would venture to say that that's the best winning percentage in college and professional history. I haven't done the research that far, but you talk about a guy who exemplified all the great qualities of a quarterback: leadership, smarts. He had the arm strength. He could read defenses. And Chuck, I know you're blushing because I normally don't talk this way about you when we're talking on the phone, but let's bring in my good buddy, Chuck Fusina. Chuck, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Kenny, thanks very much for having me. I've heard a lot about the Bird Brains, and it's just nice to be here.
Did you get a chance?
I got to ask something first, Ken.
Go ahead.
Whenever you tell me somebody came in second, who beat you out for the Heisman, Chuck?
Billy Sims.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now wait. So we're going to segue to a couple stories before we start talking Eagles. Number one, the Billy Sims story and the Wiseman Award. Chuck, just say a little bit about how that thing went down.
Well, a lot of people will say, I'm sorry he didn't win it. And in all honesty, Billy Sims was a much better player than me. I'm just going to tell you that right off the bat. He was just a great running back. However, there was something back then that not too many people know about. And can I give you the brief story on it, Ken? Is that okay? There was a alumni of Cornell University and that's a school that Ed Marinero went to.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Marinero also came in second to the Heisman. So this alumni had a series of restaurants, and they were called Victoria Station restaurants. So he decided he was mad that Ed didn't win it, so he was going to give an award for the person that came in second to the Heisman. It was called the Wiseman Award. And what this award was, it was a credit card. And their Victoria Stations were all around the country. So it allowed you to go into the Victoria Station restaurant with your family, with your friends. And what you did, you went in there and you ate and drank.
For free. For free. Yeah, you didn't have to pay the credit card bill.
Everything was free.
That was probably better than the Heisman Trophy, to be honest with you.
Of course, the Heisman is an incredible award, and of course, it's well thought of. But I'll tell you what, we had more fun, more enjoyment out of the Wiseman than I think anyone ever had out of the Heisman any day. And they stopped doing it because I think a few guys started to take really advantage of it.
Yeah, like having family reunions in the restaurant, and then nobody else.
But I remember I took almost the whole team in Tampa down one time, and then at the Stars we used to go to the one that was on Cherry Hill.
Yeah, I remember you took a bunch of the Stars over there from time to time.
It was just a great time. It was. I was very lucky.
So I don't want to burn up the time with telling stories, but there's one more story of Chuck and I back in the day. Chuck played for the Tampa Bay Bucks initially, and he developed a relationship with a lot of the wrestlers who lived in the Tampa Bay area. So Chuck and I are playing for the Stars. The wrestling thing is coming to the Spectrum. Chuck has an in. And we go to the Spectrum for the wrestling matches. And Chuck, you take it from there. You're good buddies with Dusty Rhodes.
Well, what we did is we wanted to go out and get something to eat with Dusty.
Yeah, after the matches.
After the matches, yeah. You know what? I don't think it would really matter before or after.
No.
But we're sitting at the bar.
No, wait. Tell them they needed a ride to the hotel. So it was Dusty Rhodes, and was it Lex Luger? I can't remember who the other wrestler was in the car with us. Do you?
It was Lex, because Lex went to Penn State.
Right.
And Lex was
okay.
Lex played with me at Penn State, and he changed his name was Larry Full at Penn State.
Right.
And he went to Lex Luger. So
so just to set it up, we're driving these guys to their hotel, the Marriott at the airport. We go to the hotel bar. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. We walk in. They say last call. Now, Chuck, you take it from there.
And to our surprise, hey, we're going to have a drink. It'd be nice to have. Dusty orders a case.
Actually, he ordered 30 beers because I remember the list. He said, "Give me 30 beers." And Chuck and I looked at each other like, "What the hell is it? It's going to close in a half an hour."
He wasn't ready to close shop,
No.
and we had an appreciation for wrestling even more after that. And he was willing to put him down. It was like water.
Well, Chuck, I think Chuck, you and I each had two apiece, and Lex Luger might have two. I think Dusty drank the rest. It was unbelievable. He was pouring him down.
But it was a great night, and it's one to remember.
Well, the other thing about that night that I remember is that there's the good guys and the bad guys, right? And Ric Flair was actually in the bar that night, and there was and these guys, they were just cutting each other in the ring, and now they're hugging each other and kissing and dancing. It was, if you didn't need any evidence that wrestling is not on the up and up. But anyway, let's.
Again, if you think about it, sometimes a lot of people complain about NFL players at the end of games hugging and doing each other. So it comes around, goes around. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think there was too many hugs passed out last night after the Giants. But let's talk about the Eagles.
There were guys shaking hands and hugging after that game.
Yeah, well, that's a new age of football.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Chuck, I assume you had a chance to watch the game. Well, what were your general impressions of the Eagles' slide here recently, and what your thoughts were about the loss to the Giants?
Well, after thinking about the game, the best part about that game is that it's only the 6th game of the season. Mm-hmm. So I think you have to take that into consideration. Now they have plenty of time. it didn't look real good, especially up front. It looked like the Giants controlled the line of scrimmage, which is, as everyone knows, that's the key. I know you could have a lot of great skill players and everything like that, but as you two both know, if you're getting pushed back up front, it's really hard to do anything. And I give the Giants credit. I'm not sure if it's a game plan or if those guys up front are that stout. It looked like that's where a lot of the game was won right there.
Mark, how about you? What were your initial
Yeah,
impressions?
that's a real good point that Chuck just made, and that's not what that's how the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and that's how they've been pretty good or very good the last whatever many years. They never lose the battles up front. Their offensive line never loses, and their defensive line rarely loses.
It's a different line, though. It's without Mekhi Becton and without Landon Dickerson there last night.
And then that leads me to my next point. Last week, I was very critical of Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo for only running the ball, 8 times the entire game, and only 6.
They jumped it up to about 12 or 13.
Well, this week, this loss falls on Howie Roseman and the front office. They had people don't want to say it because Howie's the greatest general manager to ever lived in any sport now, right? I mean, because he got so lucky. But now he had the worst offseason he's ever had. They signed 8 free agents. None of them are worth a damn. I take that back. Azeez Ojulari, who's finally able to play now. They sat him for 4 weeks because he wasn't a special teams guy. Well, guess what? He can play. He's better than them bums you're putting out there on defense. So he finally played the last 2 weeks. He's not bad. Adoree Jackson stinks. Who thought he was good? Whose idea was it to sign him and let Darius Slay go and let Rodgers go and bring this guy in? They signed A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon, he's the epitome. It looks like Tarzan. He's not even as good as Jane. Jane's better. He can't play dead. He fumbled twice last night. Fumbled the kickoff. That was beautiful, right? When they're trying to get back in the game, the kickoff hits off his hands and goes out of bounds at the 6. Fumbled.
What is with that?
He's not a good football player, Ken.
I mean,
it's big and strong.
It's a head scratch. Kaylee Ringo with another pass interference, and if he's not holding, he's not covering because he's getting beat.
No, he can't play. The cornerback situation when Mitchell got hurt.
Oh,
it was over.
It was. Hey, by the way, Chuck,
the Giants receivers aren't good. That's another thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were down 2 of their best receivers.
Yes. I mean, I don't want to say who they play next, but the guy's name is Justin Jefferson, and he's already getting ready for that game. He's looking faster than the Vikings are playing.
Don't deepen my depression. I'm just
saying,
getting over
this. They better come up with something. They better fix something fast. But here's the thing. They let guys go, and I understand the salary cap, and I understand, they weren't going to be able to sign everybody. All right, so they lost Milt Williams, who I think is a great player, and he went to New England for a ton of money. They lost Sweat to Arizona, okay, but they cut Darius Slay. He wasn't even, they let him go. They traded Gardner Johnson. All right, people say there was issues with him. I'm not there anymore, so I don't know. But but what did they get back? They got back a guard that isn't even on they cut him from the practice squad. Mm-hmm. They made bad trade. They traded Kenny Pickett. Okay, Tanner McKee is going to be your guy, but they got nothing back. They got Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who's out of the league right now. Mm-hmm. It was a bad. The general manager who gets praised nonstop in Philadelphia, he needs to start taking a little criticism because he had a bad offseason and they're paying for it. This defense lost a lot of good players and didn't bring. Well, they brought one in. I like the linebacker from Alabama. They took in the first round, Campbell. He's a good player. The rest of it, they didn't replace anybody.
Makuba, who has played really decently, he blew a coverage last night that cost him a touchdown. And the Adoree Jackson, no effort. If you saw that touchdown run, he barely moved. It just threw a shoulder into him rather than try to wrap him up. But the thing I wanted to talk about with Quinyon Mitchell, Chuck, and maybe you can comment on this. They said he had a hamstring. Okay, and he's standing there with a hat with a cap on. Now, Chuck, back in the day when we got hurt, they had you on the training table. They were trying to rub it out. They're putting balm on your leg. They're wrapping it up to see if you can go. You're on the bike. You're trying to stay loose. This guy was like, oh, I'm hurt. I'm out. I mean, I thought that was curious. I don't know if anybody else saw that.
Well, also maybe his agent was on the field.
Well, you know what? Jalen Carter was out. and he consulted with his agent prior to the game and then walked over to Howie and Nick. So there's something to that. The agents, they're protecting their investment.
We've got a bigger role than ever. And I'm sure that a lot of consulting goes on that don't even know about with on their cell phones on the sidelines. I don't know the whole thing, but I can only agree with you. I'm sure that happens. They're looking after themselves.
Yeah.
And do you blame them? I don't know.
You guys know it's not the same. It's not.
No.
Right from and Ken, you and I have talked about this nonstop. It starts in camp. They get training camp isn't what it was when you guys played at all. Even when I was covering it. I mean, they go about an hour and a half a day, once a day, not twice. It's a different world.
Well, if they go twice a day, the second one's a walkthrough, which I find just hysterical. But let's talk about a little bit. I thought it was Jalen Hurts' worst performance of the year. He was 24 for 33, one touchdown, one pick.
His first pick of the year.
And I thought that the interception that he threw as the Eagles were marching to score was a very poor throw. You got to throw that high and outside. He threw it behind the receiver and it got picked. I just thought that he looked a little unsure of himself. And again, going back to the point where the offensive line sets the tone, Chuck, right? If you're not being protected, you're going to make some scattershot decisions because of some panic back there. It's natural.
Right. If you looked at that and that pass to the outside, the rush was coming up to him pretty close to his face, and he threw it from his back, and it wasn't. He stepped into it real well, at least from my angle that I saw it from, and I could tell that he was sort of trying to release it quicker than he maybe could have, or of course should have put it out. He's to blame for the ball. The quarterback's to blame if you don't throw it right. But I think he was a little hesitant because he was getting that rush towards him pretty much out of most of the game that I thought. And whereas the other quarterback, he'd run it no matter what. I mean, Ken, you're right. If he lasts the whole season,
he's got to protect himself. I love the energy. Yeah, he's taking some hits that are going to cost him in the future.
Because he's fast, but he's not as fast as those other guys on the other side, and they could really run. And he took a lot of chances. But I got him credit. He had a terrific game. He really did.
Hey, Mark, let's talk a little bit about the running game now. The Giants had one of the worst rushing defenses in the league, and the first two plays, Saquon Barkley gains 30 yards. He finishes the game with 58 yards with 12 carries. Now, I was watching First Take this morning, and Kevin Orlovsky, who's pretty sharp, and he showed the Eagles have a tell when they're in the pistol and Barkley is close to Jalen Hurts, it's a run. When there's a gap between Barkley and Hurts, it's going to be play action or a pass, right? And I was like, well, that's crazy. I've been looking at this. I didn't notice it. And he showed it like 3 or 4 times in a row. And you could see the Giants swarming to protect the run when they're in that formation. So, but I don't understand the play calling. I don't understand how you can abandon the run like this guy does. Now, in the second half, it got skewed, and I understand that you got to throw the ball there, but you've got the whole game to set up a run with the best running back in the league, and they're just not doing it, and it confuses me.
Yeah, that was last week's question too. They were up 14 points in the fourth quarter, and they're still throwing the ball like they're losing by 14. I didn't get that, but that's an interesting. If Orlovsky can pick up on that, watching it on TV, every defensive coordinator is picking up on it too. Then, right? I mean, that's not good. Yeah. They're also. I heard Seth Joyner say this last night that the wide receivers aren't running their routes. They don't like most. He says most receivers, if they're running it out, they run it out, and then there's a stem at the top of the route. The Eagles they're just running a flat route, which is easy, makes it a lot easier to cover. I was going to ask Chuck that on that interception. Who was the pass intended for? Was it Dotson? I forget now.
I think it was Dotson.
Could he have? I mean, again, it wasn't a great throw, and give the corner credit, but he could at that point. Doesn't he have to play defense a little bit and try to break it up? That was my thought on that. He just kind of backed off and let the corner.
I'd have to see, before I criticize or do anything, I'd have to see it again. I was mostly looking at the angle of the quarterback, his drop, and how he had to get rid of it. I couldn't tell
I'm not saying the receiver should have caught it because he
right.
couldn't.
He did jump in front of him, which is
Yeah, he could have played a little defense there. At least not let him bring it back 80 yards wherever he brought it back.
But I was going to put into it. Orlovsky came up with that. The Eagles should, send him a check. That's awfully nice of him to recognize that. And if the Eagles have not recognized that as of yet.
I don't know if any of you watched the post-game interviews, but A.J. Brown, who I'm becoming less and less a fan of, even though he's a physical specimen, he reminds me of Terrell Owens, that type of receiver. But his post-games are bothering me. Now, last night, they're interviewing him in front of his locker, and if you recall, earlier in the week, they were talking about a meeting that Jalen had with Saquon and A.J. Brown to all get him on the right page. So after the game, they asked Brown about the meeting. He goes, "Well, I don't recall. I don't recall the meeting." They go, "What do you mean you don't recall the meeting, or you don't recall being there?" He goes, "I don't recall." So he's being.
He didn't
cute.
want to talk about it. He just
he's being cute, but no, I know, but he's being cute at a time when cute doesn't work. There's a way to answer a question professionally and responsibly, and that type. If it pisses me off, I'm sure it's going to piss a lot of Eagles fans off. Now you overlook some of this stuff because the guy is a very talented guy, but I don't know. I don't like the demeanor coming out of locker. I do think that Hurts says all the right things post game, and Sirianni looked a little flustered in his press conference last night. I don't know if any of you stayed up late enough to see it. The only reason I stayed up late was because I was trying to finish the Cubs game, Chuck. Otherwise, I would have checked out a long time ago. But
you're a homer.
But what I don't know. I just
what do you think it is? I mean, you alluded to it last week that it's more than what we're seeing on the field. There's stuff going on off the field, right? I mean, is there something in the locker room are there guys? And I think, you guys played. I covered for a long time, and I saw teams that didn't get along well, and I did stories about. I remember Phil Simms telling me one time, the old Giants quarterback. I was asking him about, do you have to get along with do you and your wide receivers have to be friends, and does that help? Does it hurt? I remember he laughed. He said, Mark Bavaro, the Giants tight end for a long time out of Notre Dame, he said, I don't think I ever said more than one word to him. Like it was.
Well, it's because Bavaro didn't talk.
Oh, right.
He didn't talk to anybody.
I never said more than, hey, Mark, hey, Phil. He said, but on 3rd and 6, I knew where he was, and he knew he was getting the ball. So he made it sound like you don't have to be best friends to get to play together on the field.
What do you think, Joe? I think it helps. The Stars were such a friendly group. We had great success. We were friends on and off the field. I mean, don't you think that's a component that might be overlooked? Is that bringing character guys in that get along and put team first? I know it's a different era.
I definitely think that helps, but I think everyone should remember every year is a different year, and the Eagles just won a Super Bowl. And that's why not too many Super Bowl teams win in consecutive years. It's awfully hard. You have that whole off season. How many guys are in commercials? How many guys had endorsements? There's some changes, as Ken alluded to, on the offensive line, injuries. I can remember, Kenny, when we were on the Stars, we won the USFL the second year. The third year, I think we started out 2-4, 2-5. Well,
we had to win, I think, 5 of our last 6 games just to make the playoffs.
Exactly. So it's still early, and I think that's the best thing that they have going for them right now. And you got a good coach. I still think you got a winning quarterback. I think don't jump over that bridge yet.
Yeah.
I think last night the bridges were backed up after the Phillies. I wasn't one to be near the Walt Whitman last night.
Mark, you said something interesting in a text to me last night. We're talking about moving DeJean to corner.
You might have to.
Because right now he's slot corner. But, I mean, we're so inept on the outside. I think that's a move that we got to consider.
I think you have to at this point. I mean, you can't keep running Ringo out there, can you? And Dory Jackson might be. I don't know which one's worse. And, and especially if Mitchell's going to miss a couple games with the hamstring.
It wouldn't surprise me with a hamstring, but
you don't know what hamstrings, right?
I see corners getting traded all the time for lower level draft picks. I think the Eagles really got to research what's available.
Well, they
out
traded
there.
for the guy from the Raiders, and then he kind of disappeared. He got hurt, right? He wasn't that good anyway, Bennett. but still,
but what we have right now isn't good enough.
No.
So I mean that's got to be addressed right away. Now, fortunately for the Eagles, they get a little mini break here. They get 10 days off. That means you and I get a break too, Mark, because we're doing our version of our version of two-a-days here. This
Exactly.
two podcasts in a week. It's pretty hard for old guys. But Chuck, what's going on with the Steelers? I know you're a Pittsburgh guy. You're a Steelers fan. What is there hope out there for Mike Tomlin, or what's going on?
Well, I think the fans have started to get a little weary of the Steelers. Well, they haven't won a playoff game since 2016.
Right.
And I know they've not had any losing records, and that's a good accomplishment, but it sort of doesn't help your situation in the draft or overall when you keep being kind of, I wouldn't say mediocre, but you got to win playoffs. That's what they get paid for. So this year there seems to be a little more of a excitement, and I think Aaron Rodgers has done okay. I don't think they expected him to do what he actually has done, and that's maybe more than just be a competent quarterback. He seems to have settled people down. He seems to be enjoying himself out there. Maybe it's easy to enjoy yourself when you're winning, but they have been winning. Matter of fact, I think Slay has helped this year. They had a couple corners go down on the Steelers, and he's come in and he's done really well. And so it'll be interesting to see how they do. They haven't been world beaters. They haven't beaten anyone, the top notch yet. But I think there's some optimism that's growing in Pittsburgh. And I think it starts with Rodgers because the play hasn't been real good since Roethlisberger left. And he gives them that hope.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they also have hope in that division. Baltimore
Exactly.
doesn't look right at all. Cincinnati doesn't have they traded for Flacco, but Cincinnati doesn't, without Burrow, they're not the same team, and Cleveland's Cleveland. So,
well, the funny thing is, at the beginning of the year, everyone in Pittsburgh was saying that Rodgers would never last. He's 41 years old. He's the only quarterback that's still starting in that division that's left, and all the other guys are hurt. So it's really strange how football is. You just don't know. That's what makes it a great game.
Yeah.
He's
got kind of an interesting personality. Does the city like him? Does the city like?
I think they were wary in the beginning, but I think he has been the way he's conducted his interviews, the way he's on the field. He's a different person, but he's not a person that's gotten in trouble. Mm-hmm. It's his personality. It may be his views on politics. It may be his views on the world. How the Zen and all that. Mm-hmm. But it's never been he's a bad guy. It's been that this is the way this guy is. Do you accept him or not? And so far, I think the city's starting to accept him. But it's easy. Like I said, it's easy to accept when you're winning. Let's see how it goes.
Well, Mark, the schedule gets very interesting for the next few weeks. As you mentioned, we're at Minnesota next week. Luckily, we got a few extra days off to prepare for that one. We have the Giants at home the week after that.
That's going to be real interest.
It is going to be. That's going to be they better be a motivated team,
right? But twice in 3 weeks, that's a weird schedule. You got 17 weeks to 18 weeks now to play. Why would you have a team play like that? But now it's very interesting. They better not lose to the Giants at home again, right? That would be
the revenge factor, the betting revenge factor. Everybody talks about it.
I already put my bet on Denver. Thanks a lot.
Chuck and I we're big bettors. We bet like $5 and $10 parlays. And
that's all
we got the bye the week after that, which I think is probably coming at a pretty good time because we got to get some people healthy. But then we're at Green Bay, and then we played Detroit. So, we got off to a great start, but things might even up here fairly quickly.
I think it's got to I don't want to harbor on this, but whatever's going on off the field is certainly affecting the on the field product, and that's what's got to get cleaned up.
Yeah,
more than anything else. Because if it's Hurts and Brown and somebody, I don't know what. Again, I'm not there like I used to be, so I'm just hearing and reading from the outside. But there's obviously something wrong because this isn't.
I've gone from cracks in the foundation to holes in the roof, and hopefully after next week the house won't be burnt down. I'm not very confident about this matchup against Minnesota. But so we're out of time. The half an hour always goes so quickly. I want to thank my great friend Chuck Fusina for joining us, and hopefully Eagles fans, there'll be better days ahead. I think there will be, but we gotta get the ship back in the water and keep things going in the right direction here. So for Ken Dunek and Mark Eckel, thanks for watching the Bird Brains, everybody, and we will see you in about 10 days.